Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we are going to do our Saturday analysis. Obviously this was released in email format to our premium and pro members yesterday. This video is being released to premium and pro members Saturday afternoon / evening, and it'll be released to free members on Saturday morning. Sorry, when I said it was released Saturday evening, I meant it was released Friday evening to premium and pro members as a video, and it will be released Saturday morning to free members. Obviously some of these, the odds may have changed, horses may be non-runners, etc. by the time you watch this. So yeah, I apologise if you watch one of my races and get to it and it is then a non-runner. Anyway, let's start off. We're going to start off at Kelso in the 110. And the horse that I really like here, to be fair, is Torneo for Jamie Snowden in this 2 mile 1 handicap chase. And to be honest, it's that Newbury form that I really like. He was 4th in a race in front of Copmask. I didn't think that was a bad race, finish in front of Copmask. Copmask since then went to Sandown and ran a really good race behind Vanderpoel. I thought that was a good effort from Copmask that day. Torneo was behind Look Away, Highlands Legacy and Mighty Bandit. Obviously Look Away went to Kempton recently. He's actually been to Kempton twice since then, including winning the feature Ladbrokes Trophy, 80 grand for winning that recently. So Look Away's won twice. Frank that form straight off. We then look at the other 2 horses that finished in front. Second place that day was a horse called Highlands Legacy. Highlands Legacy has come out and won since at Windsor, in actual fact beating Torneo. And Mighty Bandit, who was winning at Newbury that day, has since come out and won at Doncaster, and we actually think he will win again tomorrow as well. We'll come on to him later. So the form is just so strong. The horse in front, Look Away, has won twice since. The horse who was second has won since, and the horse who won the race has won since. It's just really, really strong form. Torneo, granted he didn't win next time, but he bumped into that Highlands Legacy, just franking that form again. Yeah, you know, it's really, really strong form. Torneo also finished second earlier on this season, when just run down in the final stride by Triple Trade. We was on Triple Trade that day. So I really like that form. I think that bit of form is really, really strong from Torneo. Yes, he's gone up since, he's gone up slowly in the weights from 122 to 126. He actually dropped a pound to 125, went back up to 129, but he's been running in races that I think the form lines just continually work out. In better races than this as well. You know, the Look Away, who was just in front of him, has come out and won a feature handicap. Not a handicap like this. This is a really moderate handicap. Torneo really should take all of the beating in this 110. 5-2. I'm really, really happy with that price. I thought it was going to be a lot shorter. I think that form line is very, very strong and very underrated. So that's my first. It may well even be one of my naps of the day, my nap next best or third best, but we'll come back to that once we've gone through them all. Second race we're going to look at is the 2:15 at Kelso, the 2 mile 2 grade 2 novices hurdle, where we are a big fan of Le Beau and Madric for the Skeltons. Why do we like Le Beau Madric? Well, I feel like this is a clever bit of placing from Dan Skelton. He's spotted what is potentially a weakish grade 2. It generally is up at Kelso. A weakish grade 2 with a horse that he thinks, well, I can win that without really having a grade 2 horse on my hands. The horse has won over 2 mile in a maiden hurdle, beating Gaelic Rover. I didn't think that was that bad a form, and Gaelic Rover has come out and won himself since by 10 lengths, and is also re-opposing here. There he is there, and he's not the biggest of prices for this. He's 10-1. Le Beau Madric, I thought, beat him relatively comfortably because he didn't get the clearest of runs that day. Totally expect him to confirm that form. Le Beau Madric then stepped up in trip, went up to 2.5 miles for a novice hurdle at Newcastle, where he beat Eagles Reprieve. Again, I thought he beat Eagles Reprieve pretty comfortably. And again, Eagles Reprieve came into the race off the back of some good performances. The horse had never been out the top 2, had been quietly fancied in all of his races, had come into it off the back of a win at Kelso. Yeah, I thought Le Beau Madrique won it really, really cosily. Dan looks like he's trying to farm a bit of prize money with lots of his horses, including Protectorat, who runs actually I think he runs in the 140, doesn't he? They're trying to pick up 34 grand with Protectorat there. They're trying to pick up 45 with Le Beau Madrique. I think they can go and win a few races here at Kelso and, get some prize money added to that already huge total that they've achieved. I think it's really strong form, Le Beau Madrique, and I think it's a very clever bit of placing from Dan Skelton. Harry's there riding. They've arguably got no excuses. He does stay further than 2 mile 2. He's won over 2.5. When making most of the running or being really prominent, that's what they've got to do again. Be really prominent, right up there, and almost play catch me if you can when they turn into the straight. Go for it and try and outstay them, which I think is what the plan will likely be, and I hope they pull that off. So that's Le Beau Madrique, who's a bit of a bigger price than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be favourite. He is just about favourite. I actually really like the other 2 horses, to be fair. But I'm hoping they're not quite good enough to win this race. They are Starmount and The Last Cloud. I'm just hoping that Dan Skelton knows he's got a pretty decent one here, and he's not Cheltenham ready, but he is ready to win us a lot of prize money en route to that trainer's title. 255. This is also one that's very likely to be one of my naps of the day. It is Hamlet's Night. I really rate Hamlet's Night. To be fair, I really rate a couple in this race. There's a couple of others that I'm quite a big fan of. I also like Cracking Rhapsody, and I also like Quaviste. I think Dan Skelton's got a nicely handicapped horse in Quaviste. Does need to step forward though. He's well handicapped, but is this a step too far at this stage of his career? Cracking Rhapsody is really well handicapped, and we really like him, but we're hoping that he gets beat here and then we can back him in the Scottish champion hurdle at Ayr, which he won last year. That bit of form when he was beating Cabral de Matan off 137 looks very strong form now, doesn't it? And yes, he's a pound lower, so he would instantly have a chance here, but he is also a few pounds higher than when actually winning this race, and he only beat Al Nilam that day here. I don't think that's as good a form. Although he won both races, I would say his effort at Ayr was significantly better than his effort at Kelso. And maybe, if he does find something that's well handicapped against him here, he'll find, that he's not quite good enough to win off this higher mark. And that horse that I do think is very well handicapped is Hamlet's Night. And I'm pleased to see that they are going back over hurdles now. They got a fitness run into him 10 days ago at Kempton when winning. It's his efforts this season that really caught my eye. You could argue that it was a little bit disappointing on his return, only finishing second at Cartmel in a novice hurdle. Since then, very good. A comfortable winner in a maiden hurdle at Stratford, a good winner of a novice hurdle at Warwick, beating Beau Qualley for the Skeltons. I don't mind that bit of form. And we've got to remember he was only 4 at that time. It was his next 2 runs, though, as a 4-year-old, that I think were huge, huge efforts. He was second, beaten a neck by Give It To Me OJ. Give It To Me OJ is rated 143. So, off level weights, we could say that maybe Hamlet's Night ran to 142, 141. If we're being really harsh, we're saying it's a £2 for a neck. I mean, it's not. But if we went on that, we would say he's ran to a pretty good level there. Let's just round it down and go 140. Next time out, Hamlet's Night went to Wincanton for a grade 2. Still as a 4-year-old, against older horses, against Rubal, where he was getting £6. So he was getting £6, he got beat a neck, and he got beat by a horse rated 149. What's he ran to there? If we take the £6 off, we say he's, you could argue he was running off 143. He got beat by a neck, 142, 141. Again, we'll round it down to 140. Okay, 140. Both his last 2 runs over hurdles, I would argue that he's ran to an official rating of 140. As a 4-year-old, what is he now? He's running off 134. I think he's got £6 or £7 in hand there, and I think he's only going to get better. He's got that fitness run under his belt. He's fully fit. He's older. He's probably stronger. There's so much to like about him. I am really, really hopeful of a huge run here from Hamlet's Knight for James Owen and Sean Bowen. What price can we get him? He is now being backed into favouritism, unsurprisingly. I really rate him. That's not why he's being backed into favouritism. I'm not bigging myself up there. But yeah, he's going to be one of my 3 in the nap next best and third best. In actual fact, he might even be my nap. That's how confident I am of a very, very big run there. Moving on to the 3:30 at Kelso. For this 2.5 mile handicap hurdle, I like Good to Be Alive. The 5-year-old, the improving 5-year-old. Again, ridden by Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy? Sean Bowen. That's because it's trained by Ollie Murphy. I got them mixed up, kind of. But his recent bits of form since going handicapping, yeah, he's looked pretty good, hasn't he? He was second over his appropriate trip of 2.5 mile, beaten by Came From Nowhere. Now, Came From Nowhere was running off 117 and has since come and won again. Actually, we backed him next time, didn't we, at Ascot? He's won again off 124 and he's now rated 132. You could argue that £15 rise might not even be enough for Came From Nowhere. There still could be more to come from him. So he's gone up £15 since that run. Good to Be Alive is up just 6. And actually, Good to Be Alive was probably given a bit too much to do that day by Robbie Dunn. So what's happened since then? Well, as I said, the winner came out and won again. The third was really well supported, went off 4-1 favourite for a handicap at Ascot last week. In a better handicap as well. It wasn't just one of these handicaps, it was one of the feature handicaps at Ascot. Really strong form, and yet he still got backed into favouritism. Okay, he disappointed, but he was very well supported. Our selection, Good to Be Alive, went to Plumpton next time out and beat He's a Lachico. I don't mind that bit of form. You might look at that and go, yeah, but He's a Lachico, was he really progressive or anything? And he went off 11-1. I actually think he was quite progressive. He had previously finished 5th in a very good handicap at Ascot. Dance and Glance, All In You, Let It Rain, the hardest geezer. Dance and Glance went to Sandown afterwards and reversed the form, finished 1st and 2nd. Let It Rain will win a feature handicap, went off favourite for the Betfair hurdle, the William Hill hurdle, whatever it's called now. So finishing 5th there, that was a decent performance. And then he finished 7th. He's a Lachico at Sandown, behind All In You again. Dance and Glance, Continuance, Hot Fuss, who's gone and won at Windsor. Did he win? He did win at Windsor, beating Willful. Just such strong form, isn't it? I think, did Continuance come out and win? Has he come out? Continuance hasn't come out and won, hasn't come out and run, sorry, but he had previously finished behind Fortune de Mere and is one that we're also looking out for. We just really like that bit of form, and on the basis that Good to Be Alive beat him, we can't knock that bit of form in terms of that race. And Good to Be Alive went up just £4 for that. £4 for a bit of form that is probably very, very strong. He's very lightly raced. He's only had the 6 runs, 3 in handicaps. He's got his win on the board last time out. I think there's lots more to come from him. Sean Bowen keeps the ride. That's Sean Bowen, not Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is obviously the snooker player, isn't he, thinking about it? Sean Bowen keeps the ride and fully expect him to go very close again. What price is he? Let's have a look. 3s, I definitely thought he'd be favourite. Not the Northern connections, the Nicky Richards, Brian Hughes, Mr. Fife horse. Yeah, didn't think that would be favourite at all. Quite happy with our one. The Improver, the 5-year-old. So they are our selections at Kelso. Let's go to Doncaster now. And the first race at Doncaster we like is the 155, the 2 mile handicap chase, which is that horse that we've mentioned earlier. Mighty Bandit. I'm still really in love with that bit of form. The Mambo number 5, Mighty Bandit, Highlands Legacy, Secret de Dieu, Bluey, that bit of form. I thought Secret de Dieu was given a terrible bit of placing recently, winning a race at Huntingdon. Why? Went up £7 for that, dropped him back to 2 miles. He went off 1 to 4. He won $5,500. Ugh. What a waste of a good handicap mark. Yes, I think he can win again, but go for a better race. Didn't get it. The form was so strong around him over that 2 mile trip. That's what we mentioned after he got beat last time at Cheltenham. We said maybe he just needs to drop him back in trip, and I think he did need to drop him back in trip to that 3 mile, to the 2 mile trip. Even that, the form has worked out well if we look at it. Secret de Dieu, Caliphone Vogue, Cadet Frey, Scorsese? No. Quebecois, Jordan's Cross is just really good form. Anyway, away from that, Mighty Bandit. Until that form line starts getting beat, I've no reason to take him on yet. He's just slowly winning races and going up the handicap. Very impressive last time at Doncaster, running away from Grand Dudery and Gabriel's Getaway. He takes on a couple of those again. Or he takes on one of those again. But I just think he's the best horse in this race. And will prove to be a very, very smart 2-miler. Just got no negatives about him, really. Not the biggest of prices. No, wrong race. It is this one here. I load these up live so that you can see what their odds are now. So many people will, they'll look at this one, for example, on Public. I don't know if you can see this. Yes, you can. Of course you can see this. Let's have a look. 7s a little while ago. Yesterday. 7 to 1. And they'll go, oh, I'm tipping up on Public at 7 to 1. Well, it's not 7 to 1 anymore, is it? And then when it goes off 9 to 2, 4 to 1, they go, oh, we tipped it at 7s. You didn't tip it at 7s. You tipped it at 9 to 2, 4s. That 6s won't be available when you actually get on there. It was a significantly shorter price, but you're claiming bigger prices. Obviously, when they do get a winner, they look like they've been really clever and got bigger prices. And when they don't get a winner, they say we were still on the right horse because it got really well supported. So, yeah, that's one of the tricks that a lot of tipsters and analysts do. That's why we show you this live, so you can see exactly what we see at this time. And Mighty Bandit is available at 7 to 4. Another one that we don't do. We don't take outlier prices. We take the readily available biggest price, which is 7 to 4. You can see lots of them are available at 7 to 4. That's what we'll be suggesting this horse is, not 15 to 8. So yeah, as I said, Mighty Bandit, really like him, think he's going to win that. Keep that form line going. The next race is the 2:30 at Doncaster, the 3 mile 2 Grimthorpe, where we will be backing a horse that I'm pretty confident. I know we backed him last year, and I think we might have even backed him the year before in this race. He's not won either of those for us. He finished second in 2024 for a mark of 125 when sent off the 3 to 1 favourite as a 6-year-old. Now I think that's the key thing here. He's coming back for his third run, but he's coming back as an 8-year-old. He's not coming back as a 12-year-old or even a 10-year-old, and you can go, well, he's probably lost his way, he's lost his ability, etc., etc. Disagree. That is not the stage we're at in some Scope's career. So he got beat for us a couple of years ago by Does He Know off a mark of 125. Last year he ran in this race and disappointed. He pulled up off a mark of 127 when sent off 6-1. But he pulled up because he made a really bad mistake at, I think it was the 11th or 12th fence, and pulled up very quickly afterwards, or not very quickly, but a few fences later he pulled him up. So he's gone off 6-1, and he's gone off 3-1 for this race, off marks of 1-2-5 and 1-2-7. He's currently rated 1-2-2, so he's £3 and £5 lower, and Charlie Maggs takes £3 off, and he's had wind surgery, and he won at this course 2 runs ago under Charlie Maggs when making most of the running, if not all of the running, and you can completely forgive his disappointing effort last time. It was over too far. It was the cross country 3 mile 5, and it was the cross country. It wasn't a regulation race. So we've got so many positives here in that he's ran well in this race before, went second. He's won at the course recently. The jockey takes £3 off and has won on the horse. He's off a significantly lower mark than the last 2 years when he's been well supported in this race. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be backing him again. Remember, he went off 3s and 6s. You can currently get 15-2. You can even get 8 potentially. We'll say definitely you can get 15-2 about a horse who 2 years ago went off 3-1 off a £6 higher mark. As a 6-year-old, he's only 8. That's the key thing. He's only 8. He's not, as I said, he's not a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old running here, and you're like, yeah, he's lost his ability. He hasn't, and he hasn't even lost his will to win, because he was only winning 2 runs ago at this course. I have no negatives about him, really. I think he's going to go really close here. That is some scope at 15-2. And then we go to Newbury. Starting off looking at the 2:10 at Newbury, and this is a bit of a... This is our... What would you call it? It's either going to look amazing or it's going to look terrible. The one that we're going to put up here is Rubber Ball, who's currently available at 13-2. Rubber Ball's form this season is 047p. Why on earth would we be putting up a horse with that form? Because he's been here before. He's only actually been here once before. And what did he do on his run here? He won it. And was it a good run? A good win? Well, he beat Tutti Quanti over 2 mile off level weights. Yes, the 151 rated Tutti Quanti. So what's Rubber Ball? Rubber Ball will be running here off 120. And to be fair, that was only this time last year. It's not, years and years ago that he had one good run. He won that race at Newbury over this 2 mile trip, beating Tutti Quanti, and currently runs off 120. You go, okay, what's he done since then? Yes, he's been disappointing. He finished 9th in a Grade 1 at Aintree. A Grade 1. Not a Class 3 handicap like this. A Grade 1. You're allowed to finish last if you're not going to be that good, but you're better than a 120 horse. What's he done this season? Well, he came back, first of all, in a 2 mile race. The Greatwood Hurdle. The very competitive, very good Greatwood Hurdle. Again, you're allowed to be relatively disappointing in that. If we look at horses like further down the field, Cracking Rhapsody was 13th, just a place in front of him, and he's favourite for the Morebattle Hurdle. Rubber Ball is running in this race. Iberica Lord had finished 9th. He went and won a Lanzarote. Morebattle, I really like him for a handicap over 2 miles soon. Fiercely Proud, who was 5th, has come out and won. You're allowed to be well beaten in a Greatwood Hurdle if you're then only contesting a Class 3 moderate handicap just a few runs later. And that was his first run of the season. You know, he might have needed the run. They then, for some reason, stepped him up in trip. They went up in trip to Aintree, where he ran okay when there was no... there was lots of hurdles omitted, which meant it turned into a bit of a sprint, bit of a flat race, probably didn't suit him. Still, he ran okay, finished 4th, not that far behind Active Authority, and we were like Active Authority for the Martin Pipe. And even then, back in 5th was Brewing Up a Storm, who's run well since. Back in 6th was Cracking Rhapsody. Wasn't a bad effort. Then went back to Aintree again. This time I think he did disappoint when finishing 7th. But, again, finishing 6th that day was the Potemps final winner, hopefully. Supremely West. If it's not the right trip, you can be beaten in races. And then, bizarrely, they went up in trip. They went up in trip on heavy going, and they tried to run over 3 miles. Well, I think he's a 2 miler on good to soft. 3 mile on heavy is never going to suit, is it? And he pulled up and he dropped £1 for that. So he's back to his correct track. He's back to his correct trip for the first time since disappointing in the Greatwood Hurdle. Before that, he was running a Grade 1. And before that, he was beating Tutti Quanti. You don't have to go that far back through his 2 mile form before you go, yeah, he should be going really close here. And if he hadn't had those runs over 2.5 and 3 mile, and he was just coming here off the back of his Greatwood Hurdle run, he would be significantly shorter price than 7. So I think he'd be favourite for this. I really do, because they'd go, we can forgive him his Greatwood Hurdle. He looks quite well handicapped on his... he looks very well handicapped on his Newbury run, and his Aintree run was a Grade 1. It's just the 2 mile form I'm interested in. That's good enough to win this. And you can get 13-2 about Rubber Ball. Moving on, 2 more to go. The next one is the 240 at Newbury, which is the 2.5 mile handicap chase, where we are sticking with a horse that has let us down recently in Noble Park. The reason I like Noble Park here is I don't think it's the best of races, and I feel like we're now back at a regulation 2.5 mile. The last time, in my opinion, he had a regulation 2.5 mile was at Lingfield, where he was a very impressive winner, beating Vanderpoel, the 128 rated Vanderpoel, really comfortably. He beat him by 24 lengths. Well, Vanderpoel since then has come out and won at Ascot and at Sandown, and is now rated 141. So he's up £13 since then. Noble Park, granted, is up £9, but you did beat Vanderpoel by 24 lengths. You go, okay, yeah, but he's been beaten the last twice. He got beat at Kempton in a race that I'm not totally sure the track played to his strengths. It turned into a bit of a sprint, and he was very, very scrappy at his jumps. I thought he actually jumped really, really poorly that day. He didn't finish that far behind Secret de Dieu, who has since come out and won. So I don't think it was a bad effort. He just didn't jump very well. He then jumped much better next time at Doncaster, but over 3 mile. Too far. Too far. Didn't stay. Ran well for a long way before getting tired and then fading away. Got completely outstayed that day. He's back to his correct trip of 2.5 mile here, and he's back on a regulation 2.5 mile at Newbury rather than what turns into a sprint at Kempton over 2.5 mile. I think this will be the time to that he can bounce back personally. And you can currently get 5s about Noble Park. I don't think it's the best of races. I do think he's the one to take from that race. I think he's the classiest, going to be the classiest horse in this race. And the final one is the 315, where you're going to hate me. I said the 315, it's actually not. We've got 2 more. We have the 315 and the 345. So, 2 to go, sorry. 315. You guys are going to hate me. Yep, Mr. Coffee. Yep, Mr. Coffee over 3 mile 2 at Newbury. He has at least won at this course, so he does know how to win a race here. And the last time he ran over regulation fences was in a veterans race 2 runs ago, where he ran a decent race behind Eldorado Allen, over 2.5, and I think that's the key thing. That was too short for Mr. Coffee. I didn't like him that day. I thought it was definitely too short, and it proved to be. And he was, seriously in trouble, significantly behind. Never looked like he was going to win the race. Just ran on strongly from the second last and the last. But he's over the right trip now, over the right fences, and he has dropped a little bit in the weights. He's down to 140. He's down to 140. Eldorado Allen is up to 145. There's a £7 swing there, plus the extra trip, another 6 furlongs. I think Mr. Coffee will reverse that form of Eldorado Allen. And on the betting, that could be good enough. If we have a look, Eldorado Allen is favourite. On that basis, I don't mind Mr. Coffee at all. Yes, he struggles to win. Yes, there's so often excuses. I just want him to be kept in touch all the way up to like the turn into the straight. If he's there, say 4th or 5th coming into the straight, I hope he pulls him out wide, runs down the outside and absolutely motors home. And then I think he can get his win, and then they could even go, yeah, that'll do, we'll retire him. Look after him and then celebrate a win that you've got for Mr. Coffee. I'd actually love to see him in something like the Bet365 Gold Cup at Sandown. I don't know whether he's ever been there. I'm just going to have a look on my other screen. Has he ever been to that race at Sandown? No. That's where I think he could be very interesting, to be fair. That Bet365 Gold Cup. Third in a race over 3 mile 6, the Amateur Jockeys Novice Chase at the Cheltenham Festival, the National Hunt Challenge Cup. And then 8th in the Grand National, where he led all the way until the second last, I think it was. He wants those marathon trips. Second to Sweet David, second to Stumptown. Yeah, I actually think things just haven't quite gone to plan and gone right for him. But I'd love to see him in that Bet365 Gold Cup at the end of the season after winning this. And then you can retire him. And finally, the last horse I want to talk about. And in actual fact, there's 2 in this race that we like in the final one. The 345. The first horse that I think is probably the most obvious one in this race, the 345, is Vincenzo. I said in my handicap analysis that I didn't think the £2 rise was anywhere near enough. I thought that was a very, very lenient £2 for a horse that has done nothing wrong. Beaten by Panic Attack at Cheltenham. Panic Attack went on to win a Hennessy, Coral Gold Cup, whatever you want to call it. Then finished second at Cheltenham behind Glengooly, in front of Jaguar, Kimrock, Hojoli Smoke. I think that's good form. And then went to Ascot and beat Bad. The horse that we were worried about that day was Bad. He beat him. Didn't see any. I thought he was going to go up £5 or £6 for winning that. I thought he was always getting there at Ascot. This 2 mile 4 at Newbury will be absolutely fine. The long straight will really suit Vincenzo. Fully expect him to go very close. He's finished second to Booster Bob here, beating Sank Segal. I don't see any reason why Vincenzo doesn't go very, very close here. It's quite an obvious one. He will run well. The other horse that we like in this race, so that is Vincenzo. The other horse we like is Heltenham, who, when Vincenzo won at Ascot, there was one horse creeping into it towards the back of the field under Harry Atkins, and that was Heltenham. I liked the effort. I didn't think they were I didn't think they were going to be trying that day. I thought they were going to be waiting for another race with Heltenham. But having watched it, I got worried because we were on Vincenzo that day. I did start to get worried that they were actually trying that day with Heltenham. And to be fair, it was worth 53 grand, so they probably were. But having been beaten, they then, I'm hoping, looked at that and went, we were going to go close there, off 134. How do we get him a couple of pound lower? And they went to Ascot for the Ascot Chase, the Grade 1. And he got absolutely annihilated, didn't he? He was 5th of 6. He only beat the pulled up Classic Maestro. And the handicapper didn't bite. The handicapper left him alone, said, look, you were meant to finish that far behind. I'm leaving you alone. No change in your handicap mark. I'm sure that annoyed the Skeltons a little bit. But I think he can certainly go well here off this 134 mark. The reason for that is he's actually won this race before, back in 2024, off a mark of 130, so a £4 lower mark. But he beat Can Do Kid that day, the subsequent Coral Gold Cup winner. Can Do Kid was running off a mark of 140, and then after winning the Coral Gold Cup was rated 152. You know, on that basis, you would say maybe Cheltenham won with a lot more in hand. He beat a horse who was then eventually rated £12 higher. Maybe that £4 isn't beyond him. And actually, we know for a fact it isn't beyond him, because after winning that race, this Greatwood Gold Cup, he came back to Newbury a few weeks later and won another handicap, this time off a mark of 136. So he won off, a £2 higher mark this time, when sent off the even money favourite. So we know he can win off the mark. I think they were trying to get his mark down last time. It didn't quite work, but I think they thought he was going to run a nice race at Ascot when he fell. He went off 7s that day. He's currently a bigger price, 10s and 11s. I think he should be, closer to that 7s again that he went off at Ascot. I don't think there's a huge amount difference in his rivals, and to be fair, you could say, well, Vincenzo is actually up £2. So he's £2 better off with Vincenzo, and possibly, if he'd stood up, he may well have been the biggest challenger to Vincenzo. So, although I don't think that's enough for Vincenzo to stop him from going very, very close, if that Cheltenham does finish his race off and get round, I feel like he's the biggest danger, and I don't want to miss out on Cheltenham here. It is a race I've had in mind, obviously, because he won it a couple of years ago, and the form of that, I've talked him up many a time in our handicap analysis this year, with this race in mind, so I can't leave him alone. So that is Cheltenham at 10s. So I'm doing both of those in that race. So let's have a quick recap. Tornillo, I really like him. I think that 2 mile form does work out really well. I'm going to make him my 3rd best, I think. Le Beau Madric, I think Dan Skelton is pot hunting here. He thinks he's got a good horse. Doesn't need to be a Grade 1 horse to be winning this Grade 2. Hamlet's Knight, I think, is one of the best handicapped horses there is. Hamlet's Knight is one. I think Kate O'Reilly is well handicapped. I thought Secret de Dieu was well handicapped. James Owen, I think you had all 3 of those. There are a few others that I can't think of. Let It Rain for Dan Skelton is another one that is definitely well handicapped. I can't think of any more at the moment off the top of my head. So definitely we've got to be on Hamlet's Knight here for the Morebattle Hurdle. Does have fitness now after winning 10 days ago on the flat. Good to Be Alive, I thought, is still massively progressive. It was a very good performance winning last time out, and a very good second the time before that. That form looks strong. Mighty Bandit, as I've mentioned with Tornillo, that is the 2 mile handicap form that is just working out left, right and centre. Some Scope is well handicapped compared to his last 2 efforts in this race. Did win at the course just 2 runs ago, so he's not out of form. He's only an 8-year-old. He's also had wind surgery, so plenty of reasons why he can go 1 place better than 2 years ago. Rubber Ball is either very, very well handicapped over this 2 mile trip, or really does want 3 mile now and actually isn't very good, or isn't good enough to be winning races off that handicap mark. Last time he won a race, he beat Tutti Quanti off level weights. Noble Park, I expect a much better performance over this regulation 2.5 mile, rather than the 3 mile that he tried last time out, and the Kempton 2.5, which never worked out to be 2.5 mile in terms of how the races are run. And finally, Cheltenham and Vincenzo in the Greatwood Gold Cup. don't actually want to split them. Don't think it. I can't put either of those as my nap or next best. So we are going to go for Tornillo is going to be my next best. Hamlet Knight is going to be my nap, and my third best is going to be Good to Be Alive. So thanks for listening. Hope you all have a great weekend. There will be more videos coming in the next so many days for our Premium and Pro members, really honing in on the Cheltenham Festival.